Oh, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to Meditation of the Heart, Friday morning, December 17th, 2021. Um, all the blessings, all the wishes of smiles and joy in your day to you. Thank you for coming. How these usually work, how they go, is I will speak about something for a brief moment. I'll give some words and some thoughts to something. And hopefully, as I'm speaking, you're taking it in, not just waiting to get to the meditation guidance. Because how I'm going to end that section is I'm going to ask a question. Everyone's going to get an opportunity to answer that question from their perspective, whatever comes to them naturally. No pressure, of course, and you can use the chat if you wouldn't like to speak out loud. And you can not answer the question as well, although it's encouraged that everybody participate for that sense of community. And because what comes to you is just as valid as what comes to anyone else. So um, after everyone answers the question, then I'll also answer the question after everyone else, and go straight into the guidance from that point. What's on my mind to speak about this morning is actually very related to the guidance that comes through for meditation. It's hold on, this thingy is getting on my nerves. Okay, this morning I want to speak about the the thinker, the thinker, the voice that sort of interprets everything, ongoing, changing voice that sort of comments on everything that happens. Right, it's commenting right now. This thinker we often take to be ourselves because we don't notice that everything about it is also observable. And so, where we are observing this thinker from cannot be the thinker itself because it wouldn't see it. We wouldn't be able to see it. And where the trouble comes in, you could say, for simplicity reasons, I'll just leave it like that. Where the trouble comes in is the thinker is often just regurgitating what we get from the world, you could say. What I mean by that is we are usually, there's a level of unconsciousness about our reactions, our thoughts, even our feelings. It's usually all in reaction, and many of them are in fight or flight sort of response, but at a lesser degree than than a very intense fight or flight. It's like a very subtle fight or flight, but it is stressful to the cells, it's stressful to the mind, it's stressful most of the time because how we've evolved from, the sort of beginning up until now is the thinker is actually a function of evolution, which is that which scans for danger, that which is always scanning for some sort of something that can kill me or harm me in some way or take my food. And although that's a very practical function, it also functions socially. So we're always scanning for social danger because in the early days of hunter-gatherer sort of agriculture, if you were isolated from the group, then it was harder for you to eat. You didn't have a team that you could hunt with, you didn't have a team you could build with, and you were less likely to survive if a panther came along. Whereas if it's 10, 20 of you guys and a panther comes along, the panther is the one that's in trouble. And so this scanning for danger also includes disagreement, and the thinker starts going on and on and on about why it disagrees about every little thing it may disagree with. Um, the thinker also is always reacting to feelings. Feeling may show up somehow, and in meditation oftentimes feelings just rise to the surface and sort of, if you leave them alone, they'll sort of fizzle out by themselves. But the thinker, which again, where the trouble comes is we identify with it. The thinker will start to comment on the feeling. Oh, I'm feeling such and such. I'm feeling, Tensi's favorite word, is disempowering feelings. I'm experiencing disempowering feelings. Where, no, you're not. It's just a feeling. Feeling is coming to the surface and it will fizzle out. But if you engage, if you sort of log in, then it pulls you in. A good metaphor for that is if you stay at the center of the spinning wheel, then you're not in the movement, right? That spoke that the wheel is spinning around. You're not in the movement, but the further you go into the movement, the more you experience the whirling, whirling, whirling of the spinning wheel of life, the ever-changing dynamic consciousness of life. And so remaining at the the middle part where the wheel is spinning around. You think of a wooden wheel that goes around a wooden spoke, a wooden um, cylinder. The cylinder is not turning, it's not moving, it's still, but everything around it is moving. Consciousness is sort of the same way. The witness, which is beyond the thinker, is still. And the that first layer of what's going around is the thinker, the one that interprets, the internal experience. And then the rest of the wheel is like the world, the external experience, with the very edge of the wheel being, you know, your whole like social, like all of the layers of the social life. So what to do about the thinker? Well, very simply, when you go beyond the thinker, the only activity available is to observe. The only it's really like a happening. The only happening, which is happening in and of itself already, is witnessing. Witnessing is happening beyond the thinker. And so remaining as this witnessing, this inner knowing, without any addition, right? I'm knowing, but I'm also feeling this and that. No. That's an addition. No addition whatsoever. Just remaining as the knowingness, the seer, you could say, the knower, the witnesser. Remaining as that, but without any other labeling. You come to see very clearly that feelings simply show up and they dissolve. Thoughts simply show up and they dissolve. Sensations simply show up and they dissolve. Moods simply show up and they dissolve. Ways of life, like lifestyle, show up and they dissolve. And at the final stage, the waking state shows up and it dissolves. Just for clarification, what that means is deep sleep has been the same for you throughout your entire life. It has not changed. Dreams have changed. The waking state is continuing to change. Deep sleep happens every night and it just is consistent. It's unchanging. You are still there, right? You don't have to be like to wake up for someone to wake you up. You don't have to be in a dream state only. You can be wake. You're still there. You're still 100% there. Yet this state of being for you, as far as you are concerned, there's no universe, there's no body, there's no sensations, there's no feelings, there's no thoughts, there's no world, there's no mom, there's no dad, there's no God, there's nothing but your awareness. And out of nowhere, unannounced, unasked for, unneeded, consciousness arises. The sort of waking consciousness shows up. You wake up and suddenly you have this natural sense, I am. And then that falls away. But again, that's sort of the final stage. Whereas at first, just remaining as witness, just witnessing with no extra label, right? This is what we can do about this reactionary thinker. Is remaining outside of the thinker as the witness of it, so that in your experience, not just in your intellect, but in your experience, you come to see the thinker for what it is truly, which is an appearance in consciousness that arises and dissolves. So my question to you all this morning, as you probably have already been able to guess, is how will you tackle the subject of the thinker? How will you tackle this presence of the thinker? And by tackle, I just mean how will you basically begin the process or deepen the process of disassociating, of not identifying with the thinker in every moment. Sorry, Tensi, if that's hard to put into a concise question in the chat, but that's the question essentially. How will you deal with this thinker, even if just for today?
So for me, I will try to be the observer, particularly when the stressful things come into mind. I've been sort of talking to myself, reminding myself of higher vibrations. You know, something comes up and I'm like, nope, not doing that. Nope,
Wonderful.
not going there. Nope. So I'm saying no. I'm saying no to the thinker a lot.
Right.
And that has helped me tremendously. I am I'm just changing some habits in my life, going to bed earlier, getting more sleep, happier, enjoying happy moments. So it's saying no and just observing more, because it just comes in and you don't even realize it, and
Right.
until it sweeps you away. So I have to bring myself back. Or if I recognize it immediately, then I just say, no, nope, not doing that. Nope, nope. So
Wonderful.
that's how I do it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. So, for me, I took the day off,
Ooh.
and that's how I'm relaxing about because even just for today, for today, not going to work because I want to just take time to truly be with myself, whatever that may, unfold, turn into, look like. Relaxing that thinker. I said, take the day, and I'm home.
Wait a minute. Okay. Well, let me ask you some. Let me dig a little bit with you, Queenie, because that's wonderful, but that does not answer the question yet. Yet it answers a piece of it, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but I just want to sort of engage in this sort of deeper space. So yeah, no, I'm not trying to start up a laugh at you or anything like that.
I know. Come on. I know. Go for it.
So it is the thinker itself that says, when I'm at work, this is my this is bound to happen, right?
Yep.
Because being at work is simply where my body is, and the thinker is going to react in fight or flight to where my body is, oftentimes, until we reach a certain stage. And so sort of dealing with a question like, how are you deep in this process of not identifying with the thinker, even if just for today, it goes a little further beyond where my body is. Because if you hadn't taken off of work today, or no, even better, if you hadn't received this question for today, then you still would have tried to enjoy your time off of work, but you may not necessarily have gotten the opportunity to look at an opportunity like this, where you can go even deeper and not identify with this voice that's always talking in the head. And so maybe I want to ask you, how do you have you noticed your thinker? Have you noticed within you that there's a presence, sort of perpetually in reaction mode? Have you noticed this within yourself, Queenie?
Say the last two words. The last
Sort
two
of,
words.
I say yes, sort of perpetuating a state of reaction. Have you noticed this within yourself?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Then the question is how, and I talked a little bit about how, beyond the thinker there is this sort of witness, the witnessing presence, which is much deeper, much broader, and never in reaction in comparison to the thinker. There is a witnessing, there's a witnessing that is happening on its own, which is outside of the bubble of my thinker. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Just stay off of mute if you can, just for a
Okay.
moment.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so like it's habitual. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because work. I understand.
Yeah.
Um, So you've noticed the thinker. You've noticed how it sort of operates in, it sort of just comments on everything in reaction mode, right? And it also brings up unwanted emotions sometimes in
Yep.
reaction because it's
Yep.
scanning for danger, both socially and physically. So how how will you, even if just for today, go about disidentifying with this thinker? Because thinking about it in terms of, well, I took off of work, so that's what I'm going to do, is actually the opposite. It's giving power to the thinker because the thinker looks at
Hmm.
work as danger, as social danger.
Yeah.
You understand
At
what I
this
mean?
moment. Yeah, it does. At this moment, it does feel like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So, okay. So it's kind of, so I get it. So I did take off just for those particular reasons. And I know I can't do that every time, but it's like kind of what I felt I needed to do to kind of rebalance and get back into alignment. But that may not always be available to me. So if I want to, be in alignment with my higher self and know that wherever I am, I should be able to, I want to be able to recognize this, disidentify with that thinker that I perceive to be weighing me down. So, how will I deepen that? I guess I will deepen it through moments of stillness and
Okay.
taking breaks, moments of stillness and taking breaks. Because when I'm able to do that, then I can feel that like unifying nature. I could feel that calmness and that ease that is my true self. That is my true
Right.
location.
Hmm.
So yes, that.
Moments of stillness and taking break. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for
I
working that.
appreciate that because it was it was kind of like a temporary fix. And I said, okay, I'll come home, get myself back into alignment. I'll be good. But I am proud of myself for doing it because I know that this is what I needed to get
Yeah.
reconnected.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you too. Proud of you too. Um, for sure. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you for not letting me get away with it. You and Tensy, boy, forget it.
Forget it. It's not going down.
Cool. Cool. Um, uh, if I could go
Mhm.
for today, the thinker, to relax my thinker, I will. Reminders are always helpful for me because I'll be in another world. I'm like, I don't even know how, but I just forget to be. And I'm on a road trip today, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to my sister-in-law, like I'll ask questions and stuff because I just know that when I get to thinking, I never understood that sometimes I can get into my head and out of my body,
Yeah.
but not in an out of body kind of way, just in
No,
a,
yeah, just distracted. I
it's
understand.
like, Ami, where are you? And I'm like, I couldn't even tell you sometimes. So I'm going to just talk out loud more, the things I'm thinking. And uh, so, reminders as well as uh, it was said earlier, but I think I've been doing things in 15-minute stints
Okay.
ever since we had talked about that one video at that special training because I'm just like, whoa, 15 minutes is a long time. Two, it's just only that. And so I feel like, but reminders and just the limit to inactivity is a reminder that life is going to move on from whatever the activity is that I'm doing. Unless I don't feel the need to, I'm going to try to be conscious of
Yeah.
moving on from a single activity.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's good because as you said, the sun's gonna rise in the morning, right? Somebody passes away, you experience loss, sun gonna rise in the morning. You lose an opportunity and you really wanted it, sun gonna rise in the morning. no matter what happens, the universe does care about us, does care. You know what I'm saying? There is a love in the universe, but to a certain state of mind, it seems the universe does not care. It does not, is the sun is gonna rise in the morning. And basically, so I like that you said, you know, just using this method or tactic of just limiting the activity, at least most of them, to a certain time and then sort of moving on, or at least taking a break and then coming back to it, something like that, where you 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes, because it's a it's a way to also reflect on that truth that I am constant. The activities, the feelings, the thoughts, the world is changeful. I am constant. I am unchanging.
Mm.
And so this is good. This is good, good.
Was.
Coach Tense,
And also the TED Talk
right?
around
Shout out.
productivity and 15 minute increments. That is just really cool how you're finding yourself in that groove, finding that groove with that. Um Plus, even if just for today, I will indeed realign, i.e., identify with the truth instead of the thinker. By hmm, what comes to mind is relaxing into the moment. What that looks like in more tangible words is inhaling and exhaling and being present with what comes. So releasing the narrative of this means that, and observing the love that's here always, and allowing myself to fall in and enjoy and bask in that unconditional love. It's always, always. So, in moments when a feeling comes up, in moments when a thought that I have that seems disempowering comes up, remembering that there's a difference between the thoughts, the feelings, and myself. There's a difference between the thoughts, the feelings, my body, and myself. And that when a thought comes up, it simply comes up out of muscle memory. There's just a practiced vibration, a practiced pattern of that thought. And that I can shift. Every moment is new, and there's a shift in thinking. You can always tell a new story. You can always rewrite the entire narrative of life, and it always follows suit to that narrative. So, affirming power, the health, the happiness, the juicy moments of spontaneity and love and prosperity and abundance of all things good, and affirming and knowing that I am supported in all ways, seen and unseen, by my ancestors. So is my way to do.
Wonderful, wonderful, and that basking in the love is my favorite part because that you can only do consciously. right? The thinker is going on and on and on and on about things. And if when we're sort of going with the thinker and identified with it, it's an unconscious process. It's autopilot. And so basking in love, especially when disempowering thoughts show up, they just sort of rise to the surface. Choosing to bask in love, you can do that consciously. You can only do that consciously or on purpose.
And
Right?
I think I'd like to revise
Mhm.
the label disempowering thoughts in the words themselves, the power in the words. It says that these thoughts have the power to take power away
Mhm.
from me. And that's not true because the thought is just as flimsy as a shadow on a wall. Like
Yep.
it will literally fade into the background and go back into nothingness on its own. So it has no power. So it can't disempower me. So I'd like to revise that and choose new words.
If you want to get
Thoughts.
rid of, what'd you say just now?
Thoughts. I just said thought.
If you want to get rid of the shadow, turn off the light. What does that mean? If you want to get rid of the negativity, take your attention away from it.
Yeah. Where your attention goes, energy grows and it grows. Yeah.
If you want to get rid of the shadow, turn off the light. The light of your consciousness gives power to any and everything in your world because without you, turning on the light in this instance is giving power to it because when the light's on, like you can see this side of my face has more of a shadow on it. When the light's on, yeah, I'll even make it more pronounced. There we go. You see this side, lots of shadow. So you turn off the light, which I'm using as a metaphor for taking your attention away from it. There's no shadows in the dark, and so if you want to get rid of the shadow, turn off the light. If you want to get rid of the negativity, then don't give it any attention and it will dissolve on its own. Okay. And how I will go about the business of dealing with this thinker today, even if just for today, is by abstaining just for today, maybe by abstaining from mindless activity. For me, that looks like scrolling through social media, seeking to be in a trance, you know what I'm saying, by like watching various things on social media and looking at my friends' lives or what they post via that medium. That's what it looks like for me. I don't do too much else, but every now and then I'll find myself indulging too much in just scrolling. And so by abstaining from the unconscious behaviors, then I am forced into a state of consciousness because without the unconscious behavior, the mind is going to become more active and I'll have more opportunity to remain as the witness. Does that make sense? So that's my answer is I will abstain from my behaviors that are unconscious or that I do in an unconscious state, even if just for today. Actually, I told myself that last night on the bed, right before sort of falling asleep, because I had been doing very good for like 6 months straight with the scrolling thing, but it slowly creeped back in, and you know how life comes in cycles, so it slowly creeps back in, and I'm a scroller again, you could say, but today I am abstinent. All right, so now let's see, 7:14. So we went a little long on the conversation. Most of the time we start about 5 minutes ago to 10 minutes ago or so, but today we're going to start now, so it's going to be a little shorter, but it's going to be good. I just want to invite you to find a comfortable seat, or lay back if that's more your speed, and just emphasize on your comfort. Just be comfortable so that when you become still, it's not too much for you. And I need to shift this light over. There we go. For my own comfort. We're going to begin this morning's meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth together on the count of 3. And when we breathe in the nose, we're going to be breathing in peace. And when we breathe out the mouth, we're breathing out the mind, which simply means breathing out the thinker. 1, 2, 3. In with peace. Fill up as much as you can. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. In this moment, there is witnessing. And witnessing is not an effort. It is not a doing. It is not a trying. Notice that witnessing is a continuous process happening on its own. Yet there is nothing that happens without the witness. For the mind or the thinker cannot make a comment on something it has not witnessed. Various thoughts, reactions, feelings, as well as the world, they're commented on by the thinker, but by the power of the witness, the light of your universal unchanging consciousness. Be one with the witness and allow the mind as well as the body to be what it is. temporary appearance in your everlasting awareness. Allowing the breath to be what it is, at whatever rhythm it naturally takes on. The sensations in the back and the chest and the neck to be what they are, coming and dissolving on their own, at their own pace. See the sensations of the body the same way you hear the chirping of the birds. For nothing says, oh, that bird should chirp more than the other one. It simply is. Don't even give too much attention to my words, for the truth itself is in their vibration. Allow all senses to function naturally. Just remain as the witness. Even witnessing the slow sinking and sinking deeper and deeper into stillness. This may be happening for you, but don't identify. You are the seer, and you are not changing. More important than what you are seeing is where you are seeing from. The miracle of the waking state appears and disappears from this space. Here one moment, gone the next. The illusion of time passing. Here one moment, gone the next. For the time is always now, and now is where you witness from. Even memories appear and disappear in the unchanging now. Leave the changes to the changeful. Stay with the witness. Leave the reactions to the thinker. Remain as the witness. Dissolve even the sense of yourself, which exists in the mind, into this witnessing. Turn off the light. It is said, if one wants to be sure of the path, they must close their eyes and walk in the dark. Leave behind what you know. Be here now. Know that it is not you who are reacting to what is felt, heard, or seen. You are the witness, even to the reaction. See this now. Don't think about it. For thoughts cannot teach you what you are. They can only show you what you are not. You are beyond thoughts, beyond time and space, beyond activity, and beyond stillness itself. You witness the breath, therefore you cannot be the vital breath. You witness the mind, therefore you cannot be the mind. You witness the feelings, you are not the feelings. Who am I? Who am I really? just a moment, I'm going to call for our final deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth together on the count of 3. But when we return to our regular waking state, nothing will change about the witness, about yourself. Whether the eyes are open or closed, whether activities are happening or there is stillness and peace, the sun comes up. Remain conscious. Remain in love. And remain the witness as you are now. Have faith in the power that brought you here. And go in peace. So on 3, we'll go in the nose and out through the mouth. In with the peace, out with the mind. 1, 2, 3. In with peace. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. I invite you to bring some movement back into your arms, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Reach for the sky, reach for the walls, reach for the floor. And I'd like to, oh, yes, that too. I'd like to ask that everyone donate $5,000. Just kidding. That everyone, if you can make a donation, please do. They help with a lot of things, including our mission um, to donate on you all's behalf to Food for Life, and through which we've been able to help provide about 1,000 intentionally prepared plant-based meals to families and children in need here in the United States and around the world. So thank you very much in advance for your donation. And what I was going to say is I would love to hear from you all how this session was, especially Ami and Queenie. Ami, you haven't, I think this is maybe your first Meditation of the Heart live session, either first or second. And with Queenie, you usually are on the train by now or something. So I'd like to hear how this was, how the words were for you, and let's chat. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yes, this is my first full one. I didn't finish the other session. The thinkers, like, I mean, you know, you're gonna have to get out the door in this amount of time, so you can't really do both these things. Blah blah blah. but I really enjoyed it. And what I enjoyed most was it wasn't a fight mentally, if that makes sense. To stay with the words and listen and to let passing thoughts just only be that.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't see my passing thoughts come back. And so I really pulled with it.
That's amazing. That's for your first session. Did understand people try to train their minds to do what you just described for years of practice.
Mm,
They try to get to a place where they can meditate and it's not a fight mentally for
right.
years. Wonderful. I'm glad that it resonated with you. Excuse me.
Certainly.
Yes. I was able to witness the thinker slow down, and then I started noticing in my environment, like I could feel like the temperature on my skin. Then I'm like hearing the sounds,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I'm just perceptive to like what's happening around me, and like not bumbled, not a bunch of thoughts. So this is wonderful, and I'm like, wow, this is presence. Like I'm present.
Yes. And may I ask, and what of the one who is perceiving? What of the one who is noticing the temperature, noticing the sounds and smells, everything? What of the one where these sounds and smells and sound feelings land, where they land? What of that one? Anything to report about that one?
Like on
Oh,
side.
isn't that
One second, Ami. I'm sorry. I'm asking
Oh,
for you.
go ahead.
Excuse me.
yeah? Isn't that like the witness? Isn't that like the observer that's
It doesn't have to be
taking all of
native.
that in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
taking all
basically.
of that in.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like peace.
Mm, yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Just ask. You've been with us for a while, so you know.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I really do. Believe me.
Wonderful.
You were saying, Ami?
Yeah, Ami, what'd you say?
Oh no, it was more understanding that as a follow up to her commentary.
Okay.
Clarifying, yeah.
Feel free to share if you still feel called.
No, I guess it was more like, how are you following up with her? Is what I was thinking, and I was just gonna ask more. I can't even remember the question right now.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
it
don't
was
worry about
like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it. Hmm. That's good.
I'll go ahead and share. Um, so in my experience, it's like as soon as the meditation started, something just like into place. Something just came into place right where it needed to be, like a puzzle piece. And it was and is this beautiful experience of, sometimes thoughts would come up and there would be no investment in them, but not like a pushing away or just the being here and seeing them and feeling through them, feeling through them. Um, and of course, the feeling of love was just kind of, it was like encasing or enveloping the entire session, like a
Is
calm,
it still here?
yeah,
Good.
like a calm, a peace, just expansion, just an expansiveness. Um, that's just, I can describe it as loving. I can describe it as loving expansion. And I so love these sessions. I'm so grateful. This is we're almost at a year that we've
Yeah.
been doing this every week.
2 weeks, it'll be a year. Every single week.
And it's, well, except for one, your birthday week.
Well, yeah, there was like 2 or 3, but like every single week.
Yeah.
It wasn't
So
3. It was 2. It was two times we didn't do it. I mean, a bunch of Sundays, but like 2 Fridays throughout this last year, we had to cancel or skip or whatever. But yeah,
yeah. So I'm super amazed at just
wonderful,
how
Queenie.
new and fresh it is every time.
Yeah,
Um, a blessing.
yep.
So for me, there was a little bit of fighting, but only momentarily, um, because I could be the witness and be in the moment, bring myself back to appreciating the moment.
Mhm.
Um, and I too am grateful for these sessions. Just what a way to start your day, your week, your and I enjoy the replays when I can't join. So, but I feel blessed. My cup runneth over.
Hmm.
So thank you, Timothy.
Ashe.
Hey, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
That's really great. Really, really, really great. And yeah, thank you for being open to expressing that there was some, you called it fighting, um, and how that was dealt with, by basically remaining in the now, in the present. Um, and what happens to the fighting is it dissolves on its own. It needs nobody to push it away or to say stop or anything like that. It dissolves into the seeing itself. The same goes with self doubt, fear, anger, embarrassment, disappointment, all of these things. Turn the light off and they dissolve into the darkness. And nobody needs to push them away. You don't need a friend to come and be disappointed with you at the world. Take your attention off of it. The feeling will linger for a moment, but attribute the feeling to the body. The body is experiencing a feeling. Okay, that's cool. Directing the thoughts in another direction, or just your attention in another direction, being here. Because sometimes, like gratitude and things, it's not available, and that's okay. Like or forgiveness, sometimes it's not available yet. It'll be available later, but right now, it's too much. Forgiveness is not available yet at my current stage. No problem. just take your attention, your power, which is your attention, away from the whatever, whatever the negativity, and it dissolves on its own. And then you realize how powerful you are, right? You realize how miraculous you are, because things that, if you had gone through this as a teenager or as a whatever, and no one, you didn't have this knowledge, it would have just broken you. And you see that actually, if I went through it and I did have this knowledge, then nothing would have happened. Nothing bad would have happened. And you notice how powerful you are in terms of your attention gives life and reality to where you put it, which is miraculous, which is huge. I'm going to put my attention.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to put my attention on love and Spider-Man and good things today.
And joy.
Yeah.
Bless. I love y'all. I love
Love
y'all
y'all.
so much.
Love y'all.
Love y'all too.
Thank you. I want to say thank you again and 1,000 times over, and infinity to and beyond and light, Buzz Lightyear and all the things, for pouring into yourself, for having, there's so much courage and bold, like, yesness about
Mm-hmm.
you sharing. And I don't just mean sharing things, but just sharing, expressing,
Right.
contributing yourself in terms of like your ideas, your the things that you love. Um, so I'm proud of each of you for sharing and loving on yourself every day. Because even if it's not in the tribe, I be seeing y'all on Facebook sharing and shining. I'm really proud of you. So just keep going. Take your divinity breaks at 5 to 15, and know that every moment is new. And in every moment, you can always retell your story, and life will follow suit. It will fall in line every time.
Yeah. Where you can put your attention is on the Most High. If that resonates with you, you can always put your attention on God.
Mhm. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, amen, amen, amen.
Amen. Kaden was
Every-
like, "That's so sexist. Why is it amen?" I was like, "He's so funny." And history.
Do you know where it comes from, Queenie?
Nope.
There was a so I don't know what dynasty, but in Kemet in ancient Egypt, one of the first um
Netter. Oh, you're going a different path. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
it's okay. One of the first human beings deified Amen Ra. Amen Ra is the sun symbol represents Amen Ra. Amen was not prayed to in the traditional sense, but praised, and we sort of give thanks for the example of Amen Ra, which uh, Amen went from Egypt all around the world, and basically is a way to close off prayer also now in the modern day. Amen. It goes to Amen Ra, which is symbolized by the actual sun and the symbol of the red orange sort of symbol on top of the bird's head.
Wow.
All right.
Sounds
Okay,
great. I
guys.
appreciate it.
Safe
Big
travels.
hugs. Please donate if you can. Love you. Have
All
a
right.
wonderful day.
Love
I'm gonna
you.
say good night. Love you. Take care.
I know.